On Friday, the 72-hour game jam called GeoJam started. Naturally, I wanted to participate in it, and I had been eagerly awaiting the theme reveal. Finally, the theme was revealed. Pick a side. My first thought was something involving the Berlin Wall, but I would have to recreate all of Cold War Berlin to make the game I had in mind, so I kept on looking for other ideas. I also thought of a spy counter-spy thing, but I didn't think I had the time for a fancy AI that would be required for that game. A game where you put your coins on a team, too unoriginal. I finally had an idea where you are a politician during World War I, and you get to choose what side of the war to support. But this didn't seem very fun, so I changed the idea. A lot. The new idea is you are a general in World War I, and you get to pick which side to fight for. You can select famous battles, and in the game you command your units in a turn-based combat system. So I got to work. The first thing I did was plan everything out on Trello. I created a list of everything I had to do. The first item on the list was a unit system. With a reusable unit class, I could save a lot of time making different units, which would be useful as I had planned 14 units. I made a simple system, and then I designed some simple foot soldiers. One of the main points of the game is that the units are different for central powers and allies, and even the foot soldiers had different stats and different attacks. But at the end of the day, I had a somewhat working unit system and foot soldiers for both sides. I think I needed to do a lot of balancing at that time, but I didn't have time to that day, so I just stopped. The next day, I couldn't actually work on the game until about 10 p.m. I opened my laptop and Flying Zucchini had created a little soldier sprite that I really liked. I modified it a bit and created a variation for the other team, and then I added it to the game. I then got to work on a machine gun unit. This took a long time as there were a ton of bugs, and when I stopped at 12:30, I had only done 1/6 of what I had hoped to have done by then. I finished up the day by creating this bulletin board with a color-coded map of Europe on it. Blue is allied powers, red is central powers, and yellow is neutral. The machine gun unit was relatively good, but the central powers one was really overpowered, and the allied one was not powerful at all, so I needed to do a lot of balancing there too. So now it was the final day of the jam, and very little of the game was done. I got to work on adding more units. First the tank, which is a utility unit that can reinforce the teammates and do bits of damage, and then the medic. The allied medic has a heal move that will heal all of his teammates for a bit of health, and the central powers medic can just heal the most hurt teammate for a lot. After a while, I had finished, and I made sprites for them both. I also put together a little song for the game, and I added some sound effects. I created some backgrounds for the battlefields, and I began making a list of battles to add. There were tons of bugs with the units, and I knew I wouldn't have time to add all the ones I had planned, so I had to cut a few out. I decided to cancel the grenades, since they were effectively just different versions of the tanks, the sniper, which would only be on the allied side, plane, which would also only be on the allied side, cannon and gas bomb, which were both only on the central side. I had plans to add 7 battles, but I needed to make them work no matter which side you choose. I started adding a battle, but immediately I had a million errors. After spending a while sorting them out, I had lunch and left on a hike for a few hours. I worked for another 2 hours, fixing bugs and adding a second battle, but then I took a break for dinner. Now, it was 8 p.m. and it was time for the final stretch. I worked for a long time fixing bugs, and I added another battle. Quickly, everything broke. Everything. I spent the next hour and a half fixing errors, but by then I only had 3 of 7 battles in place, and still tons to do. I began working on more battles, each one taking ages because I had to do balancing for both teams. I got a few more in place, but I stopped working on battles and added some essential features like the ability to pick a side and the ability to enter battles. The reason I created these early on is that if I suddenly ran out of time and I couldn't make more battles, I would still be able to ship the game as it was. With 2 more battles to go, at 11:30 at night, I picked up the pace and raced to implement these last battles. I finished at around 12 o'clock. I added win and lose screens and some other features like a how to play screen, and I designed the logo for the game. At about 1 in the morning, with 7 hours until the jam ended, I submitted my game. I could have worked for longer, adding more units and battles, but I was exhausted and I didn't think it was worth it. This game jam was very fun to participate in, and if you want to play the game, I'll leave a link below. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe, and make sure to join the Discord server.